I think we can start. So we'll call the meeting to order. It is, I can't tell on my phone, 6:32. We have Kelly here taking minutes. And I think what we'll do as the first agenda item is just go around and introduce ourselves, since it's been a while since we've all been in person, and we have new members. We have 3 members of the public who are joining us tonight, so the agenda is available on the town's website, and at the end we'll have time for public participation if you have any questions or anything you'd like to pop in with.
I guess you should say that Michelle's not here and you're...
I'm going to. So my name is Liz Bornstein. I'm the vice chair. Our chair is Michelle Durant, who can't be here tonight because she is away. I've been on the HRC since its resurrection in 2017 and have served as chair and vice chair and treasurer and member, and so now I'm back in as vice chair.
Philip Adams, I'm the deputy police chief for the Town of Easton, and I've been on the committee for 2 years now.
Invaluable member. I'm Craig Barger of the state. I'm the select board representative on the Human Rights Committee. I've been on the Human Rights Committee, I think, since about 2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah. I thought it was only on for a year or 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Something like that.
Hi, I'm Colleen Halber. I am on the Easton School Committee, and so I'm on this committee's part of that.
I'm Kiana Emmons. I've been a part of the committee for almost 2 years now.
I'm Amy Harris, and I'm a new member of the committee.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And I'm Kathy Foster. I've been on the committee, I think about the same time as you, Craig. I think around 2018. And I'm serving as the treasurer at the moment.
I'm Bob Badger, on the committee for 2 years.
Excellent. And Kelly, you should introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Kelly. I take the minutes. Yeah.
Does a great job.
Very important role.
Kelly's so committed to our committee that she drives a half an hour to come to our meeting.
Such great work.
All right, excellent. All right, so the next agenda item is the minutes from the July meeting. So Michelle had emailed these out, and also, Angie, I don't know if you've been added to the Google Drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michelle is trying to centralize everything in the Google Drive as a repository for information. So you can take a look at the minutes. If you printed them out, I do not have copies. Does anyone have any comments or feedback on the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of July 1st, 2025.
Second.
All right. Oh, this is so much harder to do alphabetically. I think we'll just go around the table. Okay. So for what do you want as our full format? Just last name?
Last name and yes.
Okay. So there's a second on the motion to approve the minutes. So Bornstein, yes.
Oh, excuse me.
Well,
We're going to go on the table.
without
Oh, I thought you said last
Zoom,
name, I'm sorry.
Well, if I had to zoom and everyone's last name up, then I would know. I was like, zag around.
You gotta check that.
I know, right? Adam's is like, what the heck?
Spent my whole life on Whisper Adams, yes.
Barger, yes.
Probably yes.
Emmons, yes. Harris, yes.
Foster, yes.
Badger, yes.
All right, minutes are approved. All right, so our membership update. So we're very excited to welcome Angie as a new member. If anyone did not catch sort of her summary at the select board meeting where she explained a little bit about her background, maybe you could give just like a 2 or 3 sentence for everyone about why you wanted to join the committee and a little bit of why it's of interest to you.
Okay, so again, thank you so much for letting me join, and I wanted to join in large part because I live in Easton, and my kid lives in Easton, and I really enjoy living here. I absolutely love it, and it's one of the places where I think that after, like, I live in a bunch of different places across the country, and this is probably like my favorite place that I live. And, but, you know, obviously there's always room for improvement in every place that you go to, and considering that my areas of expertise are, you know, inclusion work and all this other stuff. And also I do a lot of work with raising multicultural kids, and so, you know, I was very well aware of HRC, and also we had talked there've been a couple of meetings that we've had with just people in the community, thinking about how do we get more involved, and so we all were decided to join different committees and groups and things to try to be more engaged.
Excellent.
Yes.
Very impressive background, very impressive presentation to the select board. So we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Can you add one sentence when you're saying your expertise is sort of touching in inclusion work? Can you just fill in what your full-time work is for the people who didn't hear the select board meeting?
So this is my title. So I'm associate professor in the Department of Medicine at BU School of Medicine, and I'm executive director for faculty development for the medical campus, and an associate dean for.
Colleen, that might be something Michelle follows up with you.
Okay.
There was some discussion about it going through either the superintendent's office or the principal's office at both Southeastern and OA, because I think the idea was for it to be a high school student who lives in Easton, not just who attends school in Easton. So for Southeastern, I think we would need them to be a resident because it's a town committee. So I'm guessing Michelle will follow up with you, so hopefully we can have that in place. If not by our September meeting, then hopefully by our October meeting.
Yeah, I would expect it to probably be right after, just get back to school and.
Probably.
Yeah, when's the September meeting?
So our meetings are the first Tuesday.
Yeah, that might be pushing it for September.
Yes,
All
but you never know.
But we'll never
Yeah.
know. Well, not maybe, so I'll reach out to her. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And then in terms of the at-large members, for those of you who have been on the committee, this is a committee of doers. So the goal is to have someone who is responsive, attends meetings, attends events, has ideas, leads for events and activities that interest them. So this is not a talking group, this is more of a doing group. So if you know of anyone who is interested and that seems like a good fit, have them apply to the select board and approach any committee member if they have questions about what they might be getting themselves into or signing up for to see if it's a good fit.
We would really like a full group. And as Liz said, it is doers. We like ideas, but you have to be then willing to implement that idea so that it gets done. And we ought to share the workload together and see how much we can accomplish.
Good.
There is an allies list that you want to just talk a little bit about that for Angie and for Colleen, just so they don't.
Well, you probably know. So we have an ally list, and I send it out regularly. Recently, I sent out an email seeing if any of our allies wanted to join our committee, but also we use it for letting people know about both things that the committee's involved in, but also townwide kinds of things that somebody might want to attend relative to our mission.
How many
I knew
emails?
I was going to ask you that
Yeah.
question.
What do you think roughly?
I think we're close to 300.
Oh, 300?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, next item is our collaboration. So the HRC liaises with a bunch of organizations in town, both official town or school-based committees as well as collaborations. The Superintendent Advisory Committee, I have no update from Michelle. We are part of a statewide coalition of human rights committees, a mass HRC listserv, so we have no updates from them. DEI Parent Advisory. Who is on? Do we have that one filled? I don't think we do.
Okay, the superintendent advisory is Michelle, because then that was Beth first, and now Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if we had anybody in the DEI parent advisory. Was that Beth also?
Maybe. I don't know. Is that the one that's working with Carol's Perez? Okay. If that is of interest to anyone and you want to learn more, let Michelle know. And she can tell you more about what the expectations are for that committee in terms of meeting and what its role and purpose is.
At our meeting last month, we went through all the different committees and organizations that we're working with and roles and tasks and tried to divide them up. But there are still, some people were here and the committee wasn't full, so there's still a number of those kinds of roles or activities that we need people to volunteer for, so.
Yeah, and I think we were doing a Google Doc that had all of this. Was my thinking, so it's possible that might be listed there as well. Shared mission, who is that?
That would be me.
Okay.
So the shared mission group is just updating everyone. It's just a group of different organizations, and it's like sharing information and things that we might have in common. We can kind of piggyback on some of these different organizations.
Who are they?
And well, there's a large group, including organizations from Brockton that are involved in our group. And it's like everything keeps changing. People come and go. YMCA, two of the YMCA organizations are part of it. The goal of the group is to get together 4 to 6 times a year, and we were supposed to get together this month. It's been changed to September. Well, I don't know what day yet, but they've offered us several dates, and they just did an update. And and Joe Petty is the one who is the overseer of the group, and so we'll definitely be meeting again in September.
What organization does Joe represent?
Recommend.
Health and human services.
Health and
He's
human
Easton,
services,
okay.
yeah.
So what would you say, this is the most I've ever heard about this group, like what, actually who's in it, like what's the mission they're sharing with the participating organizations?
It's looking at trying to make us aware of what other organizations are doing.
Information
what they
sharing.
can offer, and we've had a library people that come in also, and they send someone down to share some information with the group. So it's changing all the time. So every time I go to a meeting, there's some new people, and then others who might have been there that they're still part of the group, but they come and they go. And so they're trying to, they're trying to promote some of the things that they're doing, and then trying to make us aware of how we can participate and share with them. So
How do we typically share out, if Bob comes back and says that whatever is doing a whatever 2 months from now, is that an ally?
Yeah, that would be an ally.
Okay.
I think this is an opportunity for us to really strengthen our alliances with other organizations, and particularly as we go forward to try to get them to be more active in whatever activity we're involved in.
And honestly, the group is learning, and so one of the suggestions that I had is, so I'd come to a meeting and then you'd go around the room, and people are telling you all the things that they're doing, and usually they're happening within 2 weeks' time. So my suggestion was put it in writing, ahead of time, so that when we come to a meeting, we'll know, and we can also let our groups know in advance. So sometimes there are a lot of great activities for kids too, and if parents are interested in going to a lot of these meetings, the scheduled meetings, they need more than a week's notice. So it'll be something that we can promote. So that's what they're going to do now. As anything that's coming up, it's in writing, and I'll do the same thing here from my group.
Okay.
I think there's a large number of different groups in Easton that don't necessarily know one another and don't communicate. I think this was an opportunity that Joe Petty wanted to see if he could pull it together so that people know what are all the groups that are in Easton and who they are and what they do and how we can work together collaboratively.
But not limited to Easton, because
Well,
you said,
I think there are some, for example, the Old Colony Y has their main office in Brockton, but they have an office here in Easton.
Right. It would be ones that would also service the area, but their facility might be like on the west side of Rockton or whatever also.
okay, great. I'm finding the notes about the who is what. So Michelle is our superintendent advisory committee person. The Mass HRC representative is open right now. These meetings tend to be held, I think usually on Friday mornings. So I know for many people, that's not a particularly convenient time to stop what you're doing if you're typically doing something on a Friday morning. Sometimes simply being on the listserv is sufficient to report back, because they're, from when I was on it, like pretty good about saying like, this is what our agenda is and here's the summary of what the meeting is. And at the very least, you have the contact information for other HRC-like groups across the state. Some are town-based and some are independent, so that significantly changes how they operate and what they're allowed to do. But it's a good place to bounce ideas, or to, if they're sharing something, say, how did you do that? You know, we might want to do that in our town. So let Michelle know if that is of interest to be the representative for that group. For DEI, Colleen, you were appointed to that?
I
Okay,
haven't heard anything about it yet, but
all right.
I will
Okay,
ask at my next meeting.
good. As long as you know. Okay.
I did, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't bring my papers.
Oh, fine.
Wasn't she appointed when she wasn't here, was that
Yeah. Okay, master plan, we have no update on that, so we do need a representative. Michelle is maybe either still waiting to see what is needed from our committee and or when they are meeting next. Those are the same.
Was she gonna find out how often they met and things like that?
I think so, but, yeah.
That was a time-limited group, I think, too. Because the last plan was 10 years ago, I think they're really redoing that plan.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who the chair is of that committee.
okay. Yeah, I think that's what Michelle is still gonna figure out. So Kiana, Angie, if you have any questions, anything strikes your fancy, Michelle's the person to ask questions of. Okay, events. This is gonna be the meat of our meeting tonight. So the first one is NRT. So for context, what we have done in the past is we had tried to organize our involvement with events that were already happening in town. We have also created our own events, like the Pride event, which we've run the last couple of years. So the upcoming events for the fall are all planned around the existing planning in town, where the people already are, right? It's where we're going to be too. So NRT is the harvest fair that's held at the NRT property where sheep pasture is. So it is typically the first Sunday, right, of October, which I can look and see what that date is. They are always very welcoming to community groups and to us in particular. It is Sunday, August 5th. October 5th, thank you. Each day, August 5th.
It's usually about 10 to 2, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Something like that, sometimes 10 to 4.
I think it's 10 to 2.
It's 10 to 2 now, okay. So we have done a lot of really fantastic events in the past. They tend to be impactful because they involve the public in one way or the other. One of the events that we were thinking about resurrecting, but we are not able to do, is the Unity Project, which we had done 8 years ago, which was a visual piece of public art. But there is not space to do that this year. So we are a little bit back to the drawing board in terms of what we might do.
It says here it's Sunday, October 3rd.
That would be, the 5th is the Sunday this year. So we'll tell Jen there's a typo that's on the website. So Kathy had spoken with Jen Smith, who's the current executive director, and they had suggested something a little more permanent, right? So like a painted rock, you know, garden, take one, leave one, scatter them around the property.
Well, yeah. So we've done a variety of things. One year we did an envelope wall, and in each envelope there was an affirmative statement. You're great. And everybody would go up and take something out of the envelope. Well, first they would write one themselves, and they would take something out of the envelope and put theirs in. so they walked away with a positive statement. A couple of years ago, we did picnic tables. I think they purchased the tables.
They're still there.
No, I know, but we painted the tables and we had kids and people, again, write positive things on the tables. And they're still on the property. And we also did one for the senior center. So that was kind of nice because then there was something left over, you know, it's still there. So that was one of the things. We've done all sorts of other little arts and crafts kinds of things. And when Jen was talking about making a painted rock garden, we would designate a spot that would stay there for a period of time. And I even envisioned something like having a sign that says something to the effect, not exactly, we're all pebbles in the big lake, and then sponsored by the Human Rights Committee of Easton. So it would also, we would be sort of have our little sign right there as well, and people could add things over the year, could go in and add a rock if they wanted to. But there's a variety of other things, but usually to our table, it's mostly kids that come. And oftentimes, I would say, the majority may be under 3rd grade, definitely not a lot of adults without kids. But that's just the way it's been. Because partially
I would
because
like to
it's like
move
the
away
act-
from that.
Yeah, because it's activity driven.
It has gotten very younger child arts and crafts focused, which is not a bad thing, but some of the ones we did that did not have that focus. The way the Unity project is set up is that it was, picture sort of a large circle of stop sign size poles. I'll just pull the picture. And each pole has an identifier on it. So, was anyone here for that? Just me, right? 4 more times? All right, hold on. Let me pull this up and then I will describe it. Okay, so if you just want to pass this video around, the poles all had identifiers, so they might be like, I was born in Easton, I was born somewhere else, I was born outside of the country, I speak one language, I speak more than one language, I'm a cat person, I'm a dog person, I support gun rights, I'm a Democrat. You know, they take like all kinds of binaries, mostly binaries, some are sort of multifaceted, and people would go through and wrap like a vivid magenta piece of yarn around the pole that represented what they identified with, and at the end of the day, it was just this magnificent piece of public art for people to see. So it was very participatory, and it drew a crowd, right? Like, so you all would come up and you'd watch what all of us were doing because it was that big. Another example of a project we did was called Faces of Easton. So we had a member who was a photographer, and we would just say, do you want your picture taken? And we would take like little snapshots of everyone to make a giant collage of, was it really Easton? It was who showed up at NRT Fail, which is surrounding communities, right? And we made that into a banner, which we displayed around town, and also postcards.
We did that butterfly.
We did the butterfly, but that was also a little more arts and crafts based. But you know how sometimes they're giant murals, right? And you stand up and you look like the middle part of the butterfly, and there's giant wings and stuff around you. So we did one of those. That was probably 3 years ago, something like that. So we've done a variety of different projects. The challenge with doing the arts and crafts ones are, 1, weather. You never know what you're going to get at NRT. 2, logistics, right? So sometimes they require prep, like if you're painting something, you either have to do it all beforehand or it has to dry before someone can come back and decorate or pick it up or something like that. Another idea I had for something we could do at NRT involved taking advantage of all of the crowds there. And I call it a bingo card, but it's not really a bingo card. It's not necessarily something you have to like win or fill in, but a way to represent, a way to pay attention to who's at NRT, and just note things like, I heard a language spoken other than English, right? Like, I see a family that looks like mine. I see a family that doesn't look like mine. Just to get people talking and thinking while they're in a public space with other people. The benefit to that is that it's low work, right? You know, it's just kind of explaining what happens and people are doing it and talking while they're walking around. The possible downside is what the engagement looks like at the table, like what gets someone to the table in the first place, which is not hard to come up with other things and activities to do. But because we're a volunteer committee that meets monthly, we should decide at tonight's meeting what our participation would look like at NRT. We could decide simply, we're there, we give information about who we are, we have stickers and things left over from other events. So our presence will be there regardless. It's just a matter of whether we're doing something other than saying, hey, we exist in town.
We also typically sell, or have in the past, sold t-shirts that we have purchased and it has our logo on it. And that's a question of whether we want to replenish our stock of those.
Who has them?
I do.
Michelle, you do? How many t-shirts do we have left?
We have 21 adults and 7 children.
Okay.
First,
And the prior order was how much?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do the order.
I think that order was what I had done
Yeah,
several years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they still get purchased. It's amazing. People still want them. We just, what was the thing? The Pride event.
Mhm.
We sold 6. Made $120. So it was nice. Yeah, I think a combination of something that will attract people to come to our table. So that's what the advantage of the child thing is. And maybe it could be different levels. So maybe there's a couple of questions that you want the kids to go answer, and versus what their parents should answer, or something like that, so that it spans a broader age range. If you want to think of it that way.
Maybe. Has anyone never been to NRT? So you at least have in your mind,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
what the
It's
potential
very
could be.
family focused, that activity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of kids and families and,
Well, and I also think one of the challenges of drawing adults in is where we get placed, right? So depending on how they set it up every year, you know, sometimes the path by the animals is all community groups, and we're deep over by the llamas, right? At which point, like, you're really only getting families or people who have parked over in the lot coming in that way. Whereas when we get placed closer to the food area, right, that you might get more adults spill over there.
I feel like we've been at the same spot for quite a few years, which is right
By the barns.
by the office.
Do we get to
Yeah.
select where we are placed, or is it
Um,
a selection process?
There's a requesting part of it, and sometimes it has to do with what we're doing, you know. When we've done like big arts and crafts type of thing, or when we were doing like the butterfly wings, like we needed big space to hang it on, which is why we couldn't be on the map. But every year they set things up slightly differently. Like, I know they're gonna be doing the part at the top of the hill that looks like a foundation, which is called the foundation. They're using for entertainment this year, so they're doing a slight change, because they're doing a slight change in kind of who they have and what they're doing, so that might trickle down into changes, so.
Are the food gonna be near there? Are they gonna put the food up there?
I don't know.
Huh.
But, Kiana, to your point, like, if we said we need a place with a wall, or we need a lot of space, or we want to be closer to the food or something, there might be flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any ideas? Any thoughts?
I don't know, with it being the 300th year, How long ago did you did the thing when you took all the pictures?
Before 18.
So, I mean,
You think you joined in 18?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 19.
do you still have any of those posters later on? Are they all?
There was a postcard.
A postcard.
Yeah, the banner
Yeah,
is
that's,
long gone.
Okay.
The postcard, you couldn't really see anybody.
Yes, it is very small. Which is kind of the point, but also,
yeah, but like, I mean, that might not take a ton of space. That could be a really cool product afterwards, like, who's Easton? Like, 300 years and like, this is our town and this is everybody who's in it. And that you could even have somebody kind of like roving around taking pictures. So if you could have a booth, or not booth, a table doing your thing, but couldn't you have someone kind of zipping around in a shirt saying, can I take a picture of your family like real quick for, you know, the Human Rights Committee, and then compile them all?
you could.
Do they have to sign anything? So, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you'd have to repeat, like,
Okay.
over and over again,
Right.
who you are, what
Right.
you're doing it for, right? And then
Yeah.
it's the difference between us being out versus bringing people in, pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
But you could have, you know,
Mhm.
some kind of a setup that said Faces of Easton,
Mhm.
and have people come in and
Yeah.
stand under that and take the picture.
Yeah.
And then we give them a sticker.
And maybe this is the rover just encouraging rather than snapping pictures so they don't think you're some kind of psycho in the hell.
Good point.
Well, it would be interesting to see if we created a banner, if there's at some of the other 300 events that we could display it.
Well, so the challenge is, if this is October,
It is late.
yeah, I don't, what are the November and December centennial events?
December's the big deals. Yeah.
In
That's why-
October is the bonfire. I forget which week is after this.
Right.
And
So-
the 300 does have a photographer, like starlight photography, I think. But I don't know if they'd be, you know, for the entertainment.
We would need someone separate, because we need all of those digital images. We have to get a program to upload all of them, create a banner. Like, that's definitely gonna take several weeks.
Would it be just a banner, or would it be a banner and say, I don't know, like say it's 300, it could be like 300, but the 300 made up of a bunch of faces or whatever, and it would just be that with like the, now the logo's kind of complicated to put that, but like, I don't know, maybe with just HRC underneath it, it could be on buttons, or buttons are super easy and cheap to produce, and it's a, like a button machine, I have to go to a lot of like,
Yeah.
and so, but they
I think the
do it,
library
one
might
was,
have it.
yeah, and kids can do it, and so they can go and, get the paper thing and do it and make their buttons of that, and that's easy and cheap, or just produce the buttons themselves and just send them out, but have like a, but if you make it, depending on how the photos are done, because it'll be kind of like this big or whatever, you can actually probably do that.
You wouldn't be able to see the individual.
Oh, no, you wouldn't see the
Photos.
individual photos, but you'd be
Yeah.
able to, it'd be kind of like a thing, so it'd be on the banner, it'd be on maybe other types of things that could be likely distributed, but
Yeah.
buttons or something like that, that would attract
Yeah.
people and kids and kind of be used for whatever.
So you can make buttons on the spot?
But we wouldn't have, that would be separate than the Faces of Easton collage. What are you
Well-
picturing they would be doing on the spot that's related to the HRC?
Well, one, I was thinking getting them to come not to come to your pictures taken and things like that, and so like, you know, and maybe get some sort of, I don't know, come up with like, you know, faces, I don't know, whatever it is, but put it on some sort of button type of thing, and then that way you can maybe get people to take their pictures or whatever, and then have a larger banner later, and then use it to be, and not just a larger banner, it could be produced in like posters, whatever it is, where it's pretty big, and you have like, and I'm not thinking about parks, they used to have a Empire Strikes Back poster with Darth Vader's, it was every scene from it, and it was really cool. And it was like this big, and it was pretty clear in terms of how
Yeah.
well they were able to do that, so, But that could be a way of getting people, getting photos, and also being able to do more than a banner, considering all the effort it would take to come up with that photo, like, blog type of thing.
So I think my recollection from when we first did it is that there is I don't even know, this was 8 years ago, right? So let's hope it still exists, but like there's a program where you upload, like here are my 500 images, and here's what I want it to look like, right? So if you're spelling out a word or something, and it places everything. And then I think once you have that digital image, I don't know if the site offers something, or you just take that digital image and then you go make a poster, make a banner.
The nice thing about
Whatever.
something like that, if you made a poster,
Yeah,
that would be something that we could continue to display every time we were somewhere.
Or even sell them.
it would.
Depending on if they're like this big
You
or
mean like on
whatever.
an easel thing?
Yeah. Something that we could have. See, I always like permanent products. Are Polaroids really, really,
Expensive.
They're super expensive. They're super fun and trendy, but they're pricey. My son has one. Every time I buy him a pack of film, it's just
Yeah, my kid has one too, so it's
crazy.
super expensive.
They love them now.
Yeah, I know, you gotta pay.
because that's one thing, if you did it, if you took a Polaroid and then a digital picture
Oh,
could
you
walk
can make
away.
it right there.
with their,
Yeah.
either their button or whatever
Oh,
they
yeah.
do,
Mhm.
and then, so how expensive?
It's a lot.
I don't know. It's like $25 for like what, 12 of them?
Yeah, like a little pack. It's not
25 per
that.
kilo?
Yeah.
Talking about cruise,
Mhm.
And then you gotta be careful because if you don't get the lighting right, everybody comes out like greenish gray smudge, and you can't, like the olden days.
Yeah, and you can't take multiple, like I'm telling you, you can only do
No.
one at a time.
They
It's
gotta
a-
shake it and they can't. Yeah, it's everything you remember from when you were a child. It's still.
No,
Huh.
it's more expensive.
Yeah. they're fun though.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a little attachment though that you can put on like I feel like there's like little itty bitty baby printers that are like this big that are not expensive that you can print out like stickers or to your point like
Oh,
little
yeah,
pieces
there
of
is
paper that you
something,
could throw
yeah.
back to a button.
Yeah.
I don't actually have one, but
So here's another way to think about this. Maybe when you were thinking of joining the HRC, like what would you hope the committee did? What were you hoping or expecting its value add would be to the community? Our charge talks about building a stronger and more unified town, free from disrespect, bigotry, hatred, and intolerance. So one focus is strengthening the town, building unity within the town, and the other is espousing the other values, which we purposefully kept negative given our current climate. So I just think that we're in a time where it's good to be pretty explicit and maybe a little more impactful than we have been in the past about what the committee stands for and what we think will make this town stronger. Because we live in a divisive political climate and we just had an override that was pretty divisive.
Is there anything on like the history of diversity or diverse cultures or anything like that here in Easton? Like, you know, when, I don't know, certain families moved in or anything big that might have happened or anything like that? I mean, I have no idea, but I was just wondering because it might be something where it's about, you know, it's kind of still doing the whole 300 anniversary thing. Everything should kind of somehow fit in with that, just because it only happens once. And so considering you have that happening, then it's like, how can you, I'm trying to explain it. It's like, how can you recognize over the next 300 years or whatever it is, like, or really work to strengthen unity in, you know, Easton for the next whatever, this is what we've done, or this is what's happened in Easton over the first. And it's not, like, it's more about just providing people with maybe some sort of information, plus the button, but just kind of helping people understand more about the town, more about like the history, the culture. Again, I don't know if anything's happened or anything interesting, or what have you, but that could be something that might draw people, but also again, considering that it's, and then maybe doing a whole thing of like, I don't know, selling some sort of poster in addition to t-shirts, in addition to, so that it's like it's more about the town and about the town's history and about what the role of the committee is in the town in terms of like working to unify groups, and so maybe something along those lines in terms of baking it in within the whole 300.
I mean, we definitely have a historical society in town and particular community members who are involved in that. I don't know offhand how active or what sort of content they have. They would know more about the history of Easton. The role of our committee would be, it's like humans in the beginning, they're the blip at the end. Like our committee's like the blip at the end of the 300 years. But what you were saying makes me think of, like, would it be impactful to do something with the people there and simply get like Faces of Easton records who you are? What if you do a timeline thing, right? Like, I've lived in Easton, I'm here 5 years, 10 years, 80 years, my family's been here 100 years, type of thing. Like, it's a little more, who are the people in your neighborhood, kind of snapshot. Because that's participatory.
Yeah, I can see that because it would show the evolution of Easton. I
Yeah.
know Michelle and I went to, I think what the event was, but it had showed that the diversity has definitely increased in Easton, and I think with the Faces of Easton, if we can show that we have evolved, because I know a lot of times when people come to the table, they're always like, what does the Human Rights Committee do? And with the Harvest Fest, we bring people together, and we want to have fun, and we want a positive experience, especially with the climate that we live in. And so I do think that if we do show the evolution of Easton, I think that is impactful. And
Do we have, does the town have statistics on,
Demographics?
yeah,
Probably.
Not
over the years?
so much. We tried to do this with the library several years ago, so they're limited to what they have from the census. So for instance, they don't have a lot in the way of like race, religion, ethnicity.
because it would have been interesting to do like some kind of pie chart.
Correct. Yeah.
4 different time periods to show
Yeah.
the evolution of
Like,
the
DESE has some of that information, but that's only gonna capture school-age children,
Yeah.
right? So that's not really gonna get you, it's gonna get you this big in the town.
Yeah. How far back does the DESE information go?
Oh gosh, I don't know, probably back,
50?
I don't think it goes back 50 years. I think on the website I could probably go back to maybe 2000,
Yeah.
maybe a little before that, because Ed Reform was in what, like 93 or something, so MCAS has been around a bit.
It would be fun if we had a visual, like in addition to just Kathy putting a pin that this is how it, right, like that, like we have a little picture of you and a little picture of you, right? Because that gives a little bit of a picture of like who has been here a long time, who has been here a medium time, who has come in recently with our super expensive Polaroids.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of research.
There's gotta be. I think there might be, yeah, because I know the like Insta sticker, or whatever it is thing. So that might be.
Now that would be cool if we did one of these, something, a tall thing, and it's by years. And we took their Polaroid picture and put it on, I've been here
Right.
3 years, 5
Right.
years, 100 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Right, and whether it's tall, whether it's
Yeah.
wide, but like it's there, it's visual. People want to look at it, and people want to be part of it. Do we have a snappy name?
I think it's the Faces of Easton.
Maybe. Or whatever.
So would you invest in Polaroid machinery to be able to get pictures right away and put them up, or?
I
Is that
think we look into what our options are. So it sounds like we're in agreement that it would be interesting to capture who's here, how long, and we also have to think about people who don't live in Easton, right? Like,
Because
so,
there's a lot of people that
right,
are
surrounding community. we would just have a surrounding community, you know.
Also,
one.
too, one of the things about working with like, I guess young people, they don't like getting their pictures taken like that, unless they can control it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, like, even with my kid getting a Polaroid, it's always like, ew, no. That's why she always wants to take multiple ones, like, oh, I don't like this, and then it's like a whole, like, I just can't envision taking a picture of a Polaroid of anybody under the age of 40, then you can then take that picture and then post it, and other people will see it as they walk by. That's my.
All right, so that's a good point, right? So then we have a backup who, for any number of reasons, is like, I don't want my picture up there, right?
Yeah.
So whether we have like avatars or just shapes or something, and you just write a smiley face or something, and that's your alternative. I totally know what you mean about the like, ew, no, right? You know,
And be a lot of basic Polaroids, so there's just, yeah.
right. But we can also look into maybe Polaroids isn't the best way to achieve the instant photo concept to it. Okay, so in the interest of moving on, how about, it sounds like we'll explore this project, we'll call it Faces of Easton for now. Kathy, you can look into the mechanics of photos, and if anyone has ideas about this, shoot them to Kathy, and we can price out by the next meeting what that might look like. Okay, great.
But we know we want to be there and we want to do something.
We will be there, we'll be doing something.
And we want our theme essentially to be the diversity within Easton somehow.
So Faces of Easton, I think, works fine. I will look with Michelle about what we need to fill out with NRT, because I'm sure we'll have to fill out something before our next meeting in September. So we'll see if we need to do that this month or not, but Michelle and I will.
They said they already have
application
us.
part. Okay.
We're in.
Even better. Great. Okay. Easton 300. So speaking of the Tricentennial upcoming events, they have a block party scheduled for Saturday, September 6th. It's from 12 to 4. I don't have one. Oh, Ames Estate.
Oh.
So the question is, will we be there? And we need to fill out a form that if we're selling anything, we need to pay a $50 usage fee to Ames Estate. So that's pretty much all we would sell. So I would say, no, we're not selling anything. And then we have to decide if it's an informational table or an activity table. I think we're an activity just because it's not hard for us to do an activity. But the preliminary question is, do we want to be there? What's everyone's interest and capacity to help staff that?
Who can be there?
Yeah. All right, so Saturday the 6th.
So just a
Well,
note, we
before.
have a tablecloth that has our logo on it, we have some written materials, and we have some stickers that we just, is our standard.
Yeah, so if it were just informational, it really means coming, sitting at the table, explaining what we do, handing out things that have our mission and our charge, handing out
to my
stickers.
ally list.
Right, and sign up for the ally list. And if we still have vacancies, maybe answering questions and seeing if people want to join. If it were an activity, again, there would be some activity-based thing, but it sounds like it's more table-based,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
There are gonna be so many activities there that we're probably better off doing informational.
Well, that would be the least amount of work.
Yeah.
So I know I'm available on the 6th. Does anyone else have availability to pop in?
I do.
Okay. So, all right.
I think I might do them.
All right. So Kiana, Bob, Angie, Liz. Can I pop?
I'll be there as part of the Tricentennial Committee, so.
Okay. So that sounds like, yes, we'll do the block party, and yes, we will do an informational table, and no, we're not selling anything.
What is the time for the block party?
12 to 4.
The other thing that's happening at the block party, there's a lot of activities that are going on for families. And there's a, if you go online to easton300.org, it tells you all the activities that are happening at the festival. At 3 o'clock that day, the select board is opening up the time capsule that was produced, I don't know if it was 25 or 50 years ago, I don't remember exactly. But that might be a fascinating thing to see as we open up the, we have no idea what's in there. And bodies, we have no idea what's in there.
Where is it?
It right now is at the Bank of Easton, has been holding it for years.
Do you know who created it?
Depending on what year it was, it would be the group, whatever group did the
275.
275, 250, I'm not sure.
Oh, cool. Okay. Kathy, we have 10 table chairs because everything we did for Pride was ours, right?
That's.
That's. Okay.
I'm gonna be out of the country, so I can't attend, but I do have 4 chairs and a white table and
Yeah.
a pocket if you need it.
Okay. All right, and that's a good ask for the ally list. Okay, when are you leaving?
The 27th.
Okay, maybe like when
Or
we
6th.
leave to coordinate with you. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, I will work with Michelle and Kathy to coordinate that and solidify volunteer times. All right, Lions Club Holiday Festival. Bob, you were going to give an update on that.
Yes, so, in the past, I thought last year there were 2 days involved. But maybe I'm wrong. But I have inquiries in, and I just got a response this afternoon, actually, about discussing what role that we're interested in. Like, do we have people here interested in wanting to actually be in the parade? That would be Sunday, October 5th. And so,
That's the,
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the,
option.
Saturday,
No,
December
I'm
6th.
sorry, December.
December.
Yeah, December 6th, Saturday, December 6th. And I'm just wait, I just got, it was Andrew Parker, I just got an email from him this afternoon, it was first time. And so they have, like we would have, different people in charge of different events. And John Morgan is involved with the parade. So that was in the email I got today, so I don't know what participation.
So on Facebook, apparently, Easton's 39th annual holiday festival is December 7th and 8th,
Is that this year? Because
2025.
that's Sunday and Monday.
Why is everybody messing up their dates? Or is it my?
No, it must be 6th and 7th, right?
Okay. Well, it says 7th and 8th, but.
Okay.
Somebody else is telling you, not just my reading.
yeah,
All right.
Whatever, so maybe
it
it
would
is
be
2
the 6th,
days.
it would be the 6th and 7th, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
6th and 7th.
So, but I looked back over last year, and they had 2 days, and they had the parade, which was on the Sunday, and then on Saturday they had different tables and events going on.
So this is, again, another event in town where we typically attend because people are already there.
Right.
So I think you can tell them we are interested in both right now, easier to pull out than add in. And then when they firm up details about the date and the times at our September or October meeting, we can finalize what our involvement.
Yeah, I'll get that information and we'll be able
Yeah.
to talk, but, I think it would be really good to be a part of the parade and we have a banner, right, that we can.
Yeah, we have a banner.
Okay, great.
Always well attended, always well attended.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is good. Treasurer update.
Nothing's changed. we continue to have the same amount of money,
Which is,
$7,462.41.
the reason it's so large is that there's a grant in there,
There's a
correct?
$2,500 grant from the Mass Cultural Council that's specifically for a Pride event. We extended it from this year from 25 to 26.
Sure the bloody one says is right.
That's what she says.
Okay. Which means, when we think about, not Block Party, because that's informational, but NRT and Lions Club in December, we do have funds to work with for planning purposes. All right, website update. So Michelle worked with Sean Dugan, to update our website, which was long overdue. So we have a membership update, so we have current members listed. About us, the new holiday calendar is up there. So this is a calendar we began producing back in 2017 to aid the schools to help an understanding a variety of religious holidays and what it meant from a school perspective, which was generally, would a child miss school? Would they need extra time to do work? And is there any dietary component at all involved in the holiday? And so we have gotten continuous feedback from the schools that this was a useful resource, so we've been asked to continue doing it every year. So that's been updated. Our charge has been updated, and a new flyer, sort of an info blurb about what we do is up there. All right.
Now, that's accessed through the town's website.
Correct, yes, because since we're a town committee, all of our outward-facing material is through the town. So we do not have our own social media channel, we do not have our own web pages, it is town-based. Okay, public participation. Thank you, members of the public. Yeah?
Before we get there, such a.
Yeah.
So I volunteered to be involved in an educational event that we might hold this coming year. And I'm looking for others to volunteer to join me to think about, in the past, we've done things on, what have we done things on?
Well, we
did
did trainings, and they're broadly trainings and speakers. So the trainings are anything from active bystander training, and the speakers might be, I don't remember the titles of them. I think they were more about understanding facets of identity, right? So how people describe themselves, and the part of identity where you have to declare parts of yourself and other parts where you're like, it won't even occur to me to say that I'm female or something like that.
But a variety of things, and so, I think we've talked about doing something on mental health, on special education, on what are all the services in town, putting something together that really showed people, it could be a variety of things. But I'm just looking for somebody else to sort of co-chair this process, this committee, to come up with ideas that we present here. So if you're interested.
And timing-wise, these tend to happen it's the first half of the year typically. So anywhere kind of January through May is typically when we would do a training, because the fall, as you can see, tends to be filled with existing town events. So we don't do our own.
But that's starting to plan now so that it actually happens. We've talked about doing one for a couple of years that we didn't pull off, so I would like to be able to do that for sure. And we have some funds to pay a speaker or to pay someone to come in and do that. So,
Great. Thank you. I will come back to other matters if people want to bring up things. I do want to see if the public has any comments, questions, feedback.
what does NRT stand for?
Natural Resources Trust.
Better known as sheep pasture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah.
So a few questions that I've had. Thank you for just having this committee and allowing us to be present. This has been informative. I still am not entirely sure all of what the committee does. What has really piqued my interest and what I'm wondering about is ways that thinking about ways that this committee could pair with some of the other things in town. So, for example, I am on the board of the Council on Aging, and I think it would be wonderful if someone from this committee could speak to that committee. And I so appreciate how family-friendly Easton is. I would also like there to be in Easton more of an outreach for the seniors, because that seems to be a piece that's often missing. Joe Pitty, someone asked, Joe is the head of the Council on Aging, and he's fantastic. And I think he would be very open to someone speaking to that committee. I've also, it was mentioned the Old Colony Y, and just they do so much, and thinking about, I would like to see more about what you do, and if there could be some cross showing or advertising, if you will. If some of the literature that you have could be at the Y, and if this committee, even on your website, could promote some of what the Y does. And one of the things I'm thinking of is their Live Strong program, which is a program that is free of charge. You don't have to be a Y member, and it is for individuals who are either experiencing now or have experienced cancer, and it's a wellness program. And with that, folks, during the time that the program is going on, they have a free membership to the Y for that period. And it's financed through, I believe, Lance Armstrong's. So if there was any way to just kind of cross-promote what the Y is doing and through them as well.
That's a good question. Craig, we'd have to check what we're allowed to put on the website, but certainly to the extent that it's consistent with the HRC mission, it's easy to put stuff up to the ally list.
But I think, it points to the fact that there's so many things going on in this town that nobody knows about. And is there a way, and maybe we do a workshop, we do something that's promoting what's going on in Easton.
This means we start a newspaper again.
Right.
But even just a one-shot deal, some kind of, did you know fair, that people come and each group has their own table and they could come and you could go around and learn what's going on. For example, the things that Stephanie does, and that whole thing was fascinating. Most people don't know about that, what you're talking about.
And you mentioned the history, the Easton Historical Society was mentioned, RMK, and I was thinking about Ed Hands and the work that he's doing with the Underground Railway, and how there's so much cross-purpose.
The Did You Know Fair would build a more unified town, right? Just simply by organizing everyone to come and talk about
What do you do? Right.
Yeah.
Um,
And
my-
training.
My understanding of this committee has solely been from when I have been at one of the fairs and walked by a table, and I've always wondered what else other than having a table. How does that, how do you impact the community? But thank you all.
Thank you, Margie. Well, I think the driving force behind the shared group is just that, is to get everybody to know who we are, all the groups we have, and what we do, and how we work together. I think that's part of what Joe's intent was when he first started that. Because I think he ran into a situation, he's a brand new employee, he comes in town and he goes, oh my God, all these things that are going on, who knows about them? So I think that's really
Certainly, if we did one
important.
of those, I would do it with that group and have, maybe they would be
I'm also reading on the town website that, yes, coordination, because there's a lot of stuff, there's a surprising amount of stuff going on in this fairly sleepy appearing community. So just under the surface. So there is a coordination issue, which is everyone's been talking about, and there's a publicity issue of telling the town that the Human Rights Committee exists. But here on the website, it says the core value, the real reason that this committee exists is to promote freedom from bigotry, hatred, intolerance, and disrespect. And I heard this evening a lot about publicizing that the Human Rights Committee exists and coordinating with other groups. I didn't hear a lot about how and tied into bigotry, hatred, freedom from, and I'm sort of a little bit grappling with that issue.
So in the past, our activities have focused on supporting those values by emphasizing the positive words for all of that, right? Like the diversity in town, who is in town, right? And any way you want to slice and dice diversity, right? Like I'm new to town, I've lived here for a while, you know, racial, sexual orientation, religion, gender, you name it. So that has been the point behind many of our activities and explicitly behind many of the trainings. So I think, for instance, if we talk about Faces of Easton 2.0 in this iteration, I think the implicit point is to say, who's lived in town a while, who hasn't, and possibly, to the extent they want, what do they look like, right? You know, do we have changing demographics in town? Are they younger, are they older, are they different than when you moved to town?
Yes, I hear that. But as people were speaking this evening, one of the questions that I had was, if I was, insert in the blank, a student here or someone who's new to town or whatever, and I felt that my human rights had been disrespected or violated, where would I turn? And I thought, well, Human Rights Committee sounds like a pretty good place. Is that the right place? Is that... And then the next thought that I had was RMK, but that's not here. That's a different group. So
correct. So contextually for that, originally the charge did have sort of a notification or enforcement component to it, and that became not feasible for a once-a-month volunteer group to handle complaints from the public and effectively act on them and manage them. So currently, if people feel that there has been some kind of violation to their human rights, they're directed to the civil rights officer who can assess whether it's any sort of actionable crime or what the appropriate.
I was thinking more just in terms of support, emotional support, and respect or something like, I feel heard. Where can I turn to feel better? That was the context that I was wondering.
When there have been bigger issues, either Bill or somebody will bring it up and we'll talk about it here. I know there was an issue with some family issues a couple of years ago, and we reached out to that family and tried to show support and also give them the opportunity to come here if they wanted to talk about it and things like that. But yeah, it's a tricky issue because as she says, we're once a month.
Yeah, sure.
Would there be interest, do you think, like consistent with like getting out there, showing people what we stand for, and perhaps being a space for people to have a regular space for people to meet and talk, and whether it's walk in Borderland, whether it's have coffee at Queesit House, making it clear that like we can't necessarily like act to do anything, but simply to connect to like-minded people who could say like, oh, did you know about this group I'm part of, and this group, and this committee, and this resource, and this, part of town, and the police can tell you what they can and can't do in a specific situation. I'm wondering if that's a low-hanging fruit and an easier way to be out in the community.
Well, we certainly could be a resource for people to pointing them in the right direction for, depending on what, as Gary said, whatever issue comes up. If it's an issue that involves a level of concern or fear, that would be to Phil as the civil rights officer. But if it's more about learning about the community or learning about how to manage certain things, that there are other groups in town that we can refer people to. I mean, there's a social worker that works with the police department and the fire department that goes out into the community when there are issues that come up. And I don't know, I know she's been, the first day she got here, she was like overwhelmed with the number of issues that she had to handle. So I don't know what her schedule is like now. Phil can speak to that better than I can, but that's another resource that we can refer people to.
Yeah, Stephanie Cantal, she works out of Frothingham Hall. She's under Health and Human Services. But I guess with issues that,
She's also a former HRC member.
and just with some issues that are brought to, the police department's attention, where this is, open meeting committee, a lot of times there's privacy issues that apply, so.
What about the stuff that's somewhere in the middle? So it's not quite rising to the level of you need the support of a social worker, or it's not criminal, but it's just this underlying, I'm someone who lives in town and I don't feel welcome, wanted, safe, comfortable. But it doesn't quite rise to the level that we were just discussing. Like, is there anything that we as a committee do for that kind of stuff? Like, I'm thinking in a school perspective, you do like a restorative justice circle and to like repair the relationship. And I don't know that that's something that really lives with adults, but do you know what I mean? Like that kind of lower level stuff that just makes people feel uneasy and uncomfortable and unwelcome.
I mean, the short answer is no, right? So both because of logistics in terms of our volunteer capacity, as well as being town-based, our capacity to act is limited. Our ability to reach out exists. And sometimes, like, that just helps to say, like, I'm sorry this happened to you, and did you know this exists and this exists and this exists? That helps people feel like it's a better place.
But I think that, bringing these up, and I appreciate your bringing these up, I think that refocusing us and causing us at least to discuss that and figure out what do we have the capacity to do and what kinds of things. This is a committee where we could, just because we haven't done it in the past, doesn't mean we can't do something in the future. We just have to figure out what is realistic that we can accomplish and what would have an impact.
One thing I will look into is talking either with Connor and or with council, like if we held some kind of regular space or activity for people simply to meet and talk and share those sort of stories, that it gets classified as an event and not as a meeting subject to open meeting laws, that would be important. So I can see that being beneficial just for people. People want to know, like, what are people experiencing in town? Do you feel like it's a place that's free from yes or no, and why?
And how can we make it better? Well, what would make it better?
Yeah. Okay.
So that is something that we're gonna work on,
I'm-
creating a safe space.
I will look into if we wanted to do that first Sunday, whatever type of thing, to make sure that it's not viewed as a meeting, because there are all sorts of rules about, and
Open meeting laws, yeah.
right, for open meeting law about, which is different than like having a conversation at NRT. Yeah. Okay.
I thank Marge and Gary for being here and for bringing up some issues that help us to focus, which we thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. And Colleen, remind us of your last name.
Boyle John.
Okay, thank you. We are going to be asked to leave Queesack House shortly. Are there any items that people want to bring up that we haven't had a chance to discuss tonight? Okay.
Can I just, it just came up when I'm listening to what everyone's saying, and I went to an event last summer, and it was the Human Civil Rights Committee in Randolph. And what they did is they had a band, and entertainment. It was very upbeat and really positive, and then during that time, people came on in between and made comments, and it was like, did you know, if you have any issues that are going on in your neighborhood or whatever, we have these resources, the town resources, and it was linking the committee with. We had some people speak. It was interesting. It was entertaining. It was fun. And then there were tables and there were like things. We have stickers and everything. And other people had set up
This sounds like the did you know
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair.
but drawing, having a band, having people
Mhm.
love these music in Easton. Everybody wants to go to a concert.
yeah.
So,
And they drew a lot of people to come in, and it was really, I mean, the crowd was unbelievable.
That seems like an interesting possibility for a winter event.
you know, one thing that happened was COVID, and we
Right.
didn't meet in person. And this is really, we met maybe twice now in person since 2020. And you can't have that kind of discussion on Zoom. It doesn't work.
No,
And so that's why I think we're all happy to be face to face and to be able to have that kind of discussion.
Absolutely.
Who was here for Eat with Strangers? Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was another event we tried to do that was adult focused, that literally to get people to meet in town. That was a tough one. It was a good idea, there were not that many people willing to eat with strangers. Okay, our next meeting is the first Tuesday in September, which is September 2nd. I believe we will continue to meet at 6:30. I believe it will still be here at Cleason House. Michelle will confirm that. So we were juggling some rooms. Is there a motion to adjourn?
so
Second.
Second.
All right. You don't need to vote to adjourn, do we? You do?
Yeah.
Ornstein, yes.
Adams, yes.
Margie, yes.
Calvin, yes.
Amends, yes.
Access.
Foster, yes.
yes.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:49.
Thank you, ECAT.
All right, thank you very much.